Now let's build the inside of the mouth. So if we come in here, you can see I've added a little bit of shape to the head just by moving those points around. What I want to do now is let's come in and grab these edges inside of the mouth here. Let's kind of move these up a little bit. So we really want this corner of this mouth to be pretty close. Okay, and then we can come in and I'm just going to grab these points. And you can do this in wireframe as well and just grab everything. But let's kind of move this up and in so get something like that. We can kind of grab these two. And so what I want to do now is kind of create an inside of the mouth. So I want to select those polygons that are just on the inside of this mouth. So right in here. So we've got just those selected. Now, there are more tools that we can use than the ones just listed over here on the left, depending on what we have selected. So if I hit Control F, it'll bring up a bunch of tools that are related to faces. We can also access this by going down to Mesh, right down here, and coming up to Faces, and there's a bunch of stuff that we can do here. The one that I want to concentrate on is Inset Faces. This is kind of like an extrude, and in some other applications it's included within the extrude tool, but what's going to allow us to create kind of an edge loop around the selection of faces by insetting them. So we can activate that by hitting the I key as well, and then we just drag, and you can see what's happening here as I pull that in. Now, there are settings over here, and yours may be set to select outer. In that case, it'll select the outer loop. If you want to have the inner faces, basically the original faces selected, you can turn that off. But you can change the values over here as well. Okay. You can also, if you wanted to raise that up, you could change the depth, but I'm going to go ahead and leave the depth at 0. So this is going to allow us to create this sort of lip right around there. So now what we can do is if I just do an extrude, it doesn't really do what I want it to do. So let me undo that. And I want to extrude a region. And I want to do it along the vertex normals. So we can select region vertex normals, or we can hit Alt-E, region vertex normals. And then as I drag out, it's going to actually push that out along those normals, which will give you more of kind of a cavity there. I can kind of pull that back a little bit. And if you want to, you can kind of scale it in, but it just gives you that sort of opening for the inside of the mouth. And we can hit A to drop out of that. And you can see that there. It gives us a little bit of a lip and creates that cavity opening for the mouth. Now at this point, we're starting to get a little bit more detailed. And so one of the things that we can do is actually, if this is a symmetrical model, then we can just work on this symmetrically. So what that means is that we want to delete half of the model so that anything that we do will then be able to copy over, because if we start to create arms and things, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult to create those on both sides. So what we can do is delete half the model. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's come in and we can just do it from here if we want to. We'll make sure to select faces, and we can go to wireframe, kind of help a little bit, and then I can just come in and start to drag across there and just make sure that we don't have anything over on the other side. You can hit delete and choose faces, and then you can see we've just got a couple here. You can do this from your different views as well. You can hit X, same thing. And then let's come in and delete the rest of this. So you definitely want to have that line that bisects it down the middle so that you're able to do this. So now we've got just 1/2 of our geometry. In order to add the other half back, or to be able to see the other half, we'll select our cylinder up here in our outliner, and we can click on this, and we'll just call this body to name it. And you see all these little buttons over here will allow us to choose different things. If we choose the wrench, this will allow us to add a modifier. So we can come in here and choose a mirror modifier. And that'll actually mirror the geometry across a particular axis. In this case, we want to mirror it across the y-axis. Okay, we can choose to merge those points. So as long as that modifier is on there, we'll be able to see the other side. And when we come in and let's say select a point here and move it, you can see it updates on the other side. So anything that we do on this side is going to be updated on the other side. So this will allow us to say, okay, I'm just going to select these 3 faces and I'm going to kind of move those around. And we don't have to worry about selecting anything on the other side because we know it's updating. So we can come in here and kind of soften up the head a little bit. Maybe pull this down a bit. Okay, and something like that. Maybe pull this in a little to kind of soften that up. And it's all mirrored over to the other side. Okay, so now we're ready to bring out the little arms of our character. So it'll become a little bit easier because we only have to do it on one side and we'll see it update on the other side. So let's do that next.